to our own brothers and sisters, it must end now, especially with you young people. You must not treat those people. We look down on them, but they actually helped us. I don't think I was going to be a PhD holder if Namibia is not independent. Where did we get our independence from? We were there. People, Agorians were killed because of our independence. But nowadays we look at them as foreigners. Nonsense.
Esther Hamo. I work for the Ministry of Education, Innovation, Youth, Sport, Arts and Culture, but I'm specifically from the Directorate of Youth Development. I've been in the ministry for quite a long time, like maybe 13 years. Yeah, of course, I was in the academic before I joined the youth sector, and I have experienced the gap that is within the system and when you go out and start working with the youth. So what I observe basically is that I believe the whole system needs to integrate more climate research into the education system, because it's a platform where young people can actually get the knowledge and the skills that they need, and also the system can instill values and attitude toward the environment. And this is going to now reflect when they are going to take action after their schools or their education. That is where you know that if there is a lack in the system, then you see the participation of young people will not be as those of the well-informed nation. So they we now, when you start working with the out of school youth, that is where you realize that, okay, the system has some gaps that are missing the knowledge that we need as young people.
Thank you so much, Ms. Harbo. It is clear from an educator's perspective that a lot needs to be done in order to give more knowledge to our children in school so that they can understand how climate change affects their everyday life. But I want to dive into more academic research. Dr. Tengarapi, as an agricultural economist, a seasoned agricultural economist for that matter, working on a very, very essential field of agriculture, what do you think in building capacity universities and industries should work together in co-designing curricula, research training, and internships that can help mold the next generation of climate professionals?
Thank you. I'm Cecil Tengarapi from University of Namibia, as I've been introduced. And I see with the show of hands, those are the 12. AS, anyone? There's no one. Oh, okay, that's fine. I wanted to start from there. When you're looking at building capacity in terms of universities and industries working together in designing curricula, the things that we need to look at is a curricula that bridges theory and practice. In most cases, at universities, people believe that students are only being given theory, and the theory is not relevant for the work and industry when they leave the university. So when this curricula is being developed, we need to integrate or collaborate with industry experts as well as government stakeholders and community representatives to make sure there is relevance and applicability. In most cases, when curriculum are being developed, you realize that when we are engaging people in industry or people who are working already or who are in the communities, most of those are students or graduates of the same universities. So they have the same experience that they went through, and they highlight the issues that they have gone through. But if you engage the communities that have problems which they are facing, you get a totally different perspective so that the curriculum can actually respond to the felt needs of the locals. And the other thing that needs to be incorporated in co-designing the curricula is problem-based learning, in which we incorporate real climate changes such as drought resilience, carbon markets, and here to introduce a new word, probably you're hearing it for the first time, such as agri-PV systems, so that people are taught what we call systems thinking and solutions design. And why would we be thinking of systems thinking and solution design? Because most of the things that we are doing, we are supposed to be responding to the needs that we have. We should not have artificial curricula that is nice, in terms of naming, in terms of the things that we do, but they don't solve any problems which the communities and the people are facing, and does not address any developmental agendas of the nation. The other thing that we need to do is to also have what we call interdisciplinary modules. These modules should integrate various areas such as climate science, data analytics, climate adaptation, policy, economics, communication, so that when a person is going through the university system, they are what you call a whole person, a person who understands the system or the environment in which they live, not a person who is narrow-minded and only specialized in one particular area. And that creates a lot of gaps. And the other thing that I would add is, for a curricula that is co-designed, we need the universities now, I'm speaking from the university side, to do research that is industry-linked. So when we say industry-linked, is the challenges that the industries are facing are the ones that are supposed to be addressed by researchers. So when researchers are carrying out research, they should actually address the actual problems as they are faced by the communities and the industry. And the last thing that I would add is to say we need to do what we call action-oriented research. When we are doing action-oriented research, you are working with the communities, and the communities themselves are involved in designing the problem, defining the problems, as well as defining or finding solutions for the problems with the researchers. The last one is to incorporate what we call challenge labs and innovation hubs within the curricula, in which people or the graduates or the students actually work on innovations that are addressing specific problems which the communities in the nation are facing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kalahari. Very, very important you mentioned there that the programs need to respond to the needs of the people. I want to move to Dr. Inkela. You are heading a very important faculty at the International University of Management, a faculty that works with environmental management. I'd like to find out from you, how do you assess the current state of collaboration between academia and the environmental protection industry in advancing both climate mitigation and climate adaptation?
Thank you very much. First is to acknowledge the young people who were here, actually doing the traditional things. I mean, inspired youth, actually, and often, what's the word? Is it infant? I'm a juvenile elder. Oh. Because I'm not youth anymore. This is actually good. You will find in Ankiri Nashima, in Ubanyama, singing traditional things in the form of Engama, and Itayakala in Upandi, playing in Tato. Ochi Shanene Chakurun Pandonga, Inanene Chakurun Mandonga, Tango Tachipura Nampara Wamungu. Those how elderlies used to communicate. Now back to your question. You see, in Namibia, in particular, in Africa in general, one thing that is lacking is actually working together. Always we create artificial competition among ourselves, among institutions. Universities are supposed to complement each other. Just like organizations out there supposed to complement each other. So most of the time, you will see that these universities, bigger ones, they are not speaking to each other. Maybe individually, when I meet a doctor here, we speak. But as an institution, we are not talking. It's actually a shameful state of things that is happening. I would like to tell you, last year, for the first time, the biggest university in Namibia were brought together by a foreign organization to work together. Yes, Rufora. Why? We are operating, apparently we are developing Namibia. How do you develop Namibia if you are not speaking to each other as the institution? We're supposed to create synergy. People from the space of environment always talk about synergy, where efforts are actually synchronized so that you reach the target goal with the little resources you have. You see, even our human capacity is not yet good. But if somebody is to work part-time at IUM or NAS from UNA, then the management is angry. That is also true to the other universities. That is actually shows that I don't want to insult people, but we are very far from being clever. Yeah, so we are talking about knowledge-based society by 2030. That's a few miles away, but we have not cultivated an environment where we collaborate in terms of crafting curricula, in terms of doing research, applying research, like Doctor said. If you marry minds together, you are able to solve a problem. When you work in silos, it's a wasted endeavor. Therefore, colleagues, in concluding and on this question, I would like to implore ourselves, let's work together.
Yes.
We are not in any competition. Our end goal is to ensure that Namibia is an industrialized nation where decisions are made based on research, evidence. People are always, especially politicians, they always talk about pragmatic evidence. How will people do pragmatic research if you are not creating an environment where these universities collaborate? And you see, in terms of fighting institutions out there, if you are not from some university, they will not be happy to fund you. Things cannot work like that. We have to work together. Actually, a united nation. Founding Father actually left us with an assignment. A united nation is striving for the common good of all members of society will emerge victorious. Even in research and academy, we have to be united. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Nkela. And while we are at that, I would like to get back to Dr. Kalahari. Based on the barriers that Dr. Nkela just outlined, how do you think, as a seasoned researcher working on a very, very important part of livelihood and society within agriculture, how do you think some of these barriers in terms of level of collaboration, level of funding can be overcome?
I'm taking my time because that's a very tough question. Actually, yes, I understand the question, but Dr. Nkela here has also mentioned that we need to collaborate. That's the first thing. And the other thing is creating platforms that we engage together without platforms where we come together as different institutions, we can never collaborate. At personal level, I know Dr. Kel, I can call him anytime, we can engage, but as institutions, probably that is where we need platforms where institutions come together deliberately to make sure that they're actually working together to remove the barriers that separate us. When we look at different institutions that are represented here, not only higher institutions, but including the OMAS, that is the ministries and government agencies, we hardly engage. Most of the problems that the government is facing, the researchers, that is now the universities, they probably have those solutions because they do research. But the governments have no access to that information because there's no synergy, we're not working together. Well, also the universities are not producing policy briefs which can inform the government in terms of evidence-based planning and evidence-based policies that can advance the solutions that the government is intending to do. One key example which I can give is what was presented this morning by Elizabeth, the issue of migrants from Angola. That issue, as much as it's complex because we don't understand it, we don't have information about it. But if research is to be done to understand what is actually happening, and government and institutions of higher learning working together with the communities will be in a better position to find solutions which can actually stop the problems that we are facing of migration and kids that are supposed to be in school, which are now in the streets. What I observed, now I'm digressing a little bit, is some of those children, actually, they look like they're selling stuff. Actually, they're not selling anything. They're begging. Yeah. That's what I picked. So they'll be holding the sticks or some fruits, but they're actually not selling what they are holding. They will come and ask for money or for food, and which is actually an indication of underlying challenges, of which when we work together, which I have picked, I don't know from the discussions, I think from the presentations, I think it was Dr. Ikela who mentioned it in the morning. In Namibia, we don't like working together. I think it's fatal. We have 121 registered cooperatives in Namibia. Right now, there's only one which is operational. And that is Omayalele Seed Cooperative. Yes. The rest are on paper registered, but they don't exist. So this is about collaboration, about working together. So it seems like we are pursuing individual interests at the expense of community and national interest. If we put the national interest first before individual interests, I think we would break all the barriers that we have. The common goal is for everyone to live in prosperity, to live a better, or to have better living standards. So that is what we should be looking at. How can we help the next person do better? I think that is how we can break some of the barriers.
Thank you so much for working together, collaboration is the solution. But while on the topic of the Angola-Namibia complex migration because of climate change, I want to bring it back home again to Ms. Harbour. You work in the Angola region, a region that is actually bordering Namibia and Angola. How do you think this climate migration is affecting children, like Dr. Tenerife mentioned, who should actually be in school and now they are on the move? How do you think this can be averted, especially between the two governments that has the Ministry of Education? What do you think that intervention would look like?
Okay, although I'm not really from the education itself, I'm from the youth development, but we experience a lot of challenges when we visit school with our programs, especially those that are bordering Namibia and Angola, where we have a lot of children coming from Angola to the schools in Namibia. And then a lot of issues are related also to environment. So you find this is when they are coming because they are looking for better education, of course. But then the poverty, it's also integrating a lot of challenges within them. You find a parent is sending kids to school from Angola, but at the same time, it is a point where they are sending kids to smuggle even drugs into the country or to fellow children, which means it's affecting even our Namibian children. If I'm associating with my neighboring child who's coming with maybe drugs or maybe who's coming with a different attitude, so it's a lot of challenges that is facing our education, our schools that are bordering Namibia and Angola because of this migration. And we experience that it's affecting their participation in school and also their well-being. The well-being of these children is affected. Yeah.
So what do you think the intervention of, let's say, the Ministry of Education in Namibia in helping these children would look like? What would you want the Ministry of Education to do in helping, in making the situation better?
Okay, what we think is, for example, if the Namibian government really is serious about making kids going to school, allowing Angolan kids coming to school in Namibia, it shouldn't be a day-to-day, maybe cross-border engagement. It should be a controlled system where maybe there's a boarding school somewhere where you bring in kids on a controlled way of maybe educating these kids so that when they go back, they actually have learned their way of going to school with a purpose, not just for them to attend school as long as Namibia have that opportunity for them. So, but I think the academia can speak more to that on the way. How do we make sure that there is no such issues between kids who are coming to school in Namibia? But we don't want to be bad neighbors, of course, to rebel, but they are the kids that are maybe disturbing the education there, but we want at least intervention that are helping either Angolan kids and Namibian kids in a very holistic manner, where maybe parents are involved, the community leaders are involved, now the school boards are involved in both sides. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Another opportunity for the academia to innovate solutions that can actually help avert this situation of climate migration. Dr. Ekena, I've engaged some of your work, given a very good presentation on indigenous knowledge systems there. But there's another part of your work that I've engaged, and that is what speaks to innovation in the climate industry, finding solutions to climate change. How can research and development in emerging technologies such as renewable energy, carbon capture, and climate resilient agriculture can be integrated to help policy framework across Namibia or perhaps across Africa?
Thank you very much. But I encourage to Shwambo to contribute to the area discussion about the Angolan kids.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Doctor.
First, Namibians, when you gotten your independence, you think you don't know Angola. It's very much disturbing that we actually know around these Angolans. We put them in trucks, whatever, we drop them back in Angola year in, year out, as if Angola was never on our side at our dark time of our history. Another thing that we are actually shying away is the historic shift of the border between Namibia and Angola. If you ask, where is Ihorian Yamandume?
In Angola.
It's deep in Angola. Me, myself, I have relatives in Angola. But I'm from Mukwambi, very far. But I have families in Angola. Now, when we see these people, we round them up. But are you Chinese selling fake things here? And we don't round them up and drop them to Shanghai, whatever, wherever it is. So what we need to do is actually to come to reality and make sure that we put these people into school. We allow them to set up their family in our country. If they need, what is this identification document, we give them instead of chasing them left, right, and center. Okay? Ina mwicheka kwe anubona mwanya kombo. Ancestors are actually angry that we are doing things that are uncalled for to our own brothers and sisters, which is, it must end now, especially with you young people. You must not treat those people. We look down on them, but they actually helped us. I don't think I was going to be a PhD holder if Namibia is not independent. Where did we get our independence from? We were there, people, Agorians were killed because of our independence, but nowadays we look at them as foreigners. Nonsense. Okay. Yeah, on a lighter note. Now back to your question. Innovation. Actually, innovation starts with a little thing, a little new thing that you are doing, even at home. You see, in research, you will always ask the novelty part of your research. Something new that you are bringing about because we want to solve a problem. Now, what we need to do in also crafting curriculum, we must always respond to problems out there. Because if you are not responding to problems, then you are going to teach things that are boring, that are not solving any issue, and then we are going to have people at home doing nothing because you taught them things that are not relevant. Therefore, there is nothing special about innovation. Actually, in South Africa, innovation is only about business. You cannot talk about innovation in other things but business. Because what are we going to innovate seriously if it's not business? Innovating for what? You cannot come up with a new system if you are not doing business with it. So therefore, we must also change our focus. Everywhere now, innovation, even in church, innovation. You will never innovate Jesus. We need, seriously, our curriculum needs to get serious. Innovation is about business people. Apparently, people want teachers to be innovative. How can they be innovative if they are teaching things that are already there? If they come up with something new, they will be asked, why is it different from the syrup? But yet we are the same people talking about research and innovation. Innovation, if we want to get serious about innovation, I can't emphasize this enough. We must change the focus. Innovation should be on people that are doing business. Because nowadays, we are actually running too fast. There was a lecturer at NAS that said if you rush, you will have a crash landing. When they get a put that crash, you will be dead for 30 minutes. That is actually how we are training our people. That's why they cannot do good in business because we are rushing them. Innovation, moderator, start with a small thing. If you check how birds are crafting their nest nowadays, they have changed. Yes, they have changed. Because sometimes we don't have enough class, like the common carriers. Sometimes we don't have enough class, so they have to innovate on how they do that. You look at doves, because they put their nest on the acacia trees. They use the stick from the acacia so that the sticks look similar to their trees. I forgot the name. What does this chameleon do?
Change colors.
Well, it changes colors depending on the substrate. Camouflaging. Now you want a teacher to camouflage, but you are going to tell them that they are out of syllabus. So we need to be serious with the word innovation, just like technology. We are misusing these two terms.
Which was
If somebody is teaching religious studies, innovation, technology in religious studies, in history, innovation, technology, maybe to put things in a USB and do presentation. Real innovation must be in business, and that's where we must go if we want to drive our country. Not these things of jumping stages. And then the money must also be toward the real issues. Research. In South Africa, if you are a PhD holder or a professor, you automatically qualify to access money in a certain fund. You don't know the name? LRF. Me and him were here in Namibia. My account, there's only money for my salary. I am busy doing my second PhD, focusing on lighting, because you can actually get electricity from them. I am stuck because I need 1.5 million for the technology I need, equipments. You go to our government, governors and other people, they are crying because every time there are people striked by lightning and properties and livestock and so on. But then there is no money for me to do the study, to solve the problem. But the same people will go and say, technology research. How if you don't have money for research? It seems we are far from big what?
innovative.
Yes. I'm not insulting anyone. Actually, I don't edit my views. I say them as they are. Because it's time for people to hear reality. Just a quick one, final comment. We were having, what is this? Friendly fire in a total. Both the police, the government people, the NDF, they all failed to contain that fire.
Yes.
Because we are far from being clever. Already, when you know that your biomass of grass or vegetation is high, you must be prepared. But they were all caught there unprepared. No petrol, people are zulaling for petrol first and fuel. What is this? Graders to make fire birds, they are not there. By the way, that fire was hot, what the hell? So you cannot go closer to it during the day, and you cannot operate during the night. But some of us, without showing off, we read wide, extensively about field fire management. We have been offering opinions, but maybe the surname is not that good. No, he cares. Doesn't even have a meaning. So people cannot listen to what you are propagating. But research could answer that. Because the examples are at Kruger National Park, Serengeti in Kenya, this is Kenya or Tanzania. They have been struggling with field fire, but now they are on top of their game because they invested in research. Not to this just innovation, even way it doesn't fit.
Wow,
Thank
that
you.
is very insightful from Dr. Ikela. Innovation and technology should mean money. If it's not profitable, if it will not make us money, it's not worth it. That is how I understand it. Thank you so much, Doc, for that. But I want us to get into solutions. And I want to get to Dr. Shekarapi. As an economist, from an economic perspective, what funding and governance mechanism do you think are needed in order to foster long-term collaboration between research institutions, industry, the government in climate innovation?
Thank you for the question. What mechanisms are required to be put in place to foster collaboration? One of them is in Namibia, we have NCRST, that is National Mission for Research, Science and Technology. They operate in similar ways as NRF, which is, I think, National Research Fund of South Africa. So what is required is to find solution. Research has to be done. And we are talking of evidence-based planning. We cannot plan without evidence. In most cases, I'm sure you know the saying, nothing can be done for us without us. So this is what is happening in most cases. I hope I will not say things that will offend some people. But what I've realized is, if I may ask, I know we have drought relief in Namibia, as just as an example. We have what we call marginalized communities. And marginalized communities receive those food parcels every single month. But if you ask them what they want, they don't want food. What they want is employment. What they want is to be like everyone else. But because we see the conditions that they are in, we see that they don't have enough food, the first thing that comes to us is we should give them food. That does not work, because you are thinking on behalf of someone who is able to think for themselves. So why I'm saying this is because most of the problems that we are thinking of right now, there are people who are experiencing them. We need to start working with them. If we want to solve community problems, let us work with the communities, not design solutions for them. Let them be part of the solution development. Let them be part of the co-designing. Let them be part of the co-production. The reason is, if you don't collaborate with the people that have the problems, you're actually going to come up with problems on top of the problems that they actually already have. The other thing that I want to add in terms of getting research funding, there's so much fund that is out there, but in most cases the fund comes with conditions. That is why I'm a researcher, I'm in academia. Some funds we cannot access because we don't meet the conditions which we want. For example, I'll give this example. I know again, some people might be offended. There are some funds that come attached where we have to observe what we call human rights. And these human rights are in quotations. I'm sure you know LGBTQI, that long name. They'll put those conditions to say you should acknowledge and make that part of your research, and you should recognize the rights of, yes. So it comes with that, and it will be a research to deal with hunger at community level for marginalized communities, and they put that condition. So what do you do? And in Namibia, we don't have a law that specifically puts the group as an independent group that has to be recognized. It's not even recognized by law. Even the marriage is not recognized. So it means now you'll be going against the country's laws for you to get funding. So some of the funding, as much as it will be there, you will not get it because of the conditions that are attached. Then the other thing is, I would say the government needs to be very deliberate in providing funding for research. Examples from other countries like South Africa, they fund all researchers. If you're doing postgraduate studies, master's, PhD, you don't pay tuition fees. The government itself pays for it. In Namibia, you have to pay from your pocket, or you have to look for funding somewhere. And in most cases, people don't do research because there's no fund. But the moment I know the president said we should have free education, that will probably release funds for research so that we can have funding to solve the problems that we are actually facing as a nation, most of the things can be solved through research. That's what I would say for now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Changarati. It looks like we need to work together more. We need to work together at the community level, and we need money. We need to put more money in research for it to produce results that can be used in practice to solve the problems of our people. As we round up and we are discussing research and development in climate change, bridging academia and industry, and I really want to pose this question to all the three panelists, just on one single transformation that you think would be more effective in bridging academic research and environmental action. Just one single action. That's the thing Namibia can take in bridging research and industry. Thank you. I'm going to start with Ms. Ango, please.
Okay, thank you very much. I think there's quite good information that I just got from my colleagues here and the professor there. So, which also added to the burning issue that I've been having for a long time, where you are put in a society to work with the community, with the young people. Sometimes you are forced to go to the school where there's a system that's supposed to have maybe resources that are assisting your work, but you find out that there is so much lag within all the component of the approach that we are using as a country. Let me start now with the collaboration that was being emphasized. There is something that we call when you are in the academic, you just focus there. You forget about maybe there's another part of the society that even if they are not in the academic, they need to be pulled in with the knowledge that the doctor was presenting today, which is very important, and also the resources that we need together as a society so that we work together. Now, one approach that is really missing is that everybody's just pushing on their own time. Nobody's coming together to say, if in education, we are able as maybe universities, maybe to come up with hubs that are grooming both in school and out of school with the practical, maybe applied research that they are being emphasized here. So because research should not only touch those that are in the system, in the academic system, it should also touch somebody who did not get a chance maybe to complete school, but they have a certain talent, so to say. And then when you come up with maybe innovation hubs, not just to say innovation for the sake of you changing maybe water into something else, but innovation for you to gather all the knowledge that is needed, either from somebody who's running through, so that, or from somebody who's maybe on the ground doing business, as it was emphasized, to educate the one that need to put to books. So there's a kind of a gap for academic communities, business to connect, but that can be done in a sort of maybe hubs within the academic system.
Amazing contributions. Thank you so much, Ms. Hango. And Dr. Ikela, one transformation that you think can bridge the gap between research and industry?
It's collaboration. People have to collaborate. Then budgetary provision. There must be enough money for people to do research. It's only that there are kids here. I was going to give a practical example. But innovation, there is no way you straight up and say you are doing research to innovate. Because an innovation should be an end product of research. Just like what elders done. Yes. We must forget, if we say we are giving money for innovation, we are lying. Money must be for research, topical and contemporary research, so that the end product will dictate whether there is a new product coming out or not. But these things, innovation, hub, what, and there's no research. We are lying, we are going to rotate on the same thing, and we say we are innovating. Just like recently, I attended an interview where I was a panelist. Somebody tried to claim ownership of our Shikundu. That came long time ago. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Kela. Dr. Kalahari, one transformation that you think can bridge the gap between industry and research? Briefly, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think one sentence is too short for what I want to say on that one. I'll give one is transdisciplinarity. That is where we have different disciplines working together, so that we don't become specialized people or specialists and then focus on our specific areas. But we should work as a team, whether you are scientists or communities, or you're climate scientists or agriculturalists. People need to work together. So that is one. The second thing is, when you're doing research, together with industry, we have to be embedded in what we call local realities. The context in which we find ourselves is where we should work in, so that we can actually come up with the solutions that are directed and the lived experiences. And then we prioritize those constraints that industries or communities are facing. And then the other thing that I would add is, we should allow for what we call living labs. This allows for experimentation. Where we do trial and error, we are researching to find out what works and what doesn't work. We should not always find only things that work. Even the ones that are failing, we can learn a lot from them as well. So especially the young people, they have the energy to experiment. You know, they have some views that we probably don't think of. But we should give them room to experiment, let them fail, let them succeed. From that failure, they also come up with the innovations that we want to see. Because if we don't allow for experimentation, there's no innovation that we can talk about. And that is the key to finding out what works and what doesn't work. And that, I think, the industries also, whatever it is that they want to achieve, they should give the opportunities to the young people that have the energy to experiment and find the solutions. And then in that way, I think we can have synergies.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kalahari. Ladies and gentlemen, we're starting out. We need to collaborate and we need funds, right? And in conclusion, that is the end of our panel discussion. Thank you so much to our panelists, Ms. Esther Hango, Dr. Erikela. Very nice to learn you, Dr. Kalahari. Thank you so much for being part of this panel. We are now moving on to the question and answer session. I'm going to give it over to Mr. Abuka to take some questions on the floor and then address them. Very few questions in the interest of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Felix, to the panelists and Ms. Elena. Questions? Ideally, when you ask the question, you ask a specific question, or you can direct it to the panelists. But ideally, ask straight to that specific person. Do we have one person in the back? Please do not give a speech, a question. If it's a speech, I will be an adult, and you know what an adult do. Just fine.
Thank you very much. Education is the greatest influencer. Yes. However, my question really is to the panelists as to how do we accommodate the old school youth, those that have informal education, they say. How do we accommodate them and make sure that they are employable? I know the discussion was on bridging gap between academia and industry, but we still need to consider youth that do not have either the formal education. I understand there was really interesting discussion on the formal education, but yeah, somehow we lose it in translation. Thank you.
Please give it to someone so that we save time. Give it to someone. Who can take that question of the panelists? Esther. Okay. Esther, the first question is on you.
The question is, how do we accommodate those who do not have formal education in a nutshell? How do we accommodate our young people who don't have that high level of academic training? they need to be accommodated. How do we do that?
Thank you. So, Vanessa, please just hold on to that question. There's the next one here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the fruitful. Sorry. Thank you so much for the fruitful discussion. My question is directed to Dr. Sioni. Speaking about three collaborations, do you believe that the organizations or companies or even ministries reject students from some institutions to do their internships or employment because they favor a certain institution that doesn't speak or collaborate with where those students are coming from, or is it just the organization's preference and some universities are overlooked? Thank you.